There's a really strange story in the book of Revelation that's traditional to share on this day in the Christian calendar known as the Feast of Assumption. And the story is this, and you're probably best to think of it like a dream, but it's traditional to tell this story today. So, in this dream of St. John the Revelator, he sees a pregnant woman. Now, she's not just any woman. She's a woman who appears in the heavens. She has a sun and a moon above her head and 12 stars around her head. She's this sort of cosmic, otherworldly figure. And she comes to the earth pregnant and ready to give birth at any moment. But she has an enemy, a dragon that comes up out of the ground. And all the dragon wants is to eat her baby. This is probably not a Sunday school story you remember from childhood. So there's the dragon crouched before this cosmic pregnant woman in labor, preparing to give birth, and she gives birth, and immediately out of nowhere, a giant eagle appears, scoops up the baby, and takes it on to safety. And we're told that this baby will become a great ruler, an inspiring figure, a hero, and a savior for all people. And then the woman who has just given birth, runs away into the desert and finds shelter. Now, you can imagine, with all the crazy people you know, times by, 21 centuries, how many crazy interpretations there are for this story. And probably whatever craziness you speculate is not half as crazy as what someone else has come up with. So give yourself a pat on the back. But here's the thing I think is maybe significant for you and me today. In some sense, every one of us has something that God has implanted within us. Something that you're going to give birth to. Could be a dream, could be a business idea, could be a philanthropic enterprise, could simply be the love of somebody special in your life. Maybe it's actual, literal motherhood, but you're, in a sense, pregnant with something that you know you've got to bring forth into the world. That's everything for you. You can't help it. Maybe you're a writer. You know, maybe you're somebody who wants to start new businesses. You've got this thing, man. And the important thing to know is that no matter what it is that you want to do, no matter what it is that you're going to try and do, you will have an enemy. You will have somebody waiting to just destroy everything you make. Somebody who wants to devour your good work. Somebody who, maybe out of jealousy, maybe out of bitterness, maybe out of envy, maybe because they don't like your politics, maybe because they don't like your background, maybe because they don't like your ethnicity, whatever, man. There's somebody waiting to just screw up your stuff. And two things in this story I think are really important. Number one, that God has ways of protecting all that you bring forth into the world that you don't even see and you don't even know about. I mean, in this dream, it's a great eagle, but God has people. God has resources. God has churches and institutions. God has all kinds of tricks up God's sleeve to protect the things that you feel you're supposed to bring into the world. And the second thing about this story that I think is really cool is that, no matter what happens to this lady, pregnant in the desert, running off to hide, this lady is significant. She has this identity as somebody of great worth, great authority, and great destiny. And I think that's true for each of us. It doesn't matter if you're bleeding and running through the desert, hiding and running for cover from people who hate you. At the beginning and at the end, God looks at you and he sees you covered in a crown of stars. He claims you, he loves you, he thinks you're worthwhile, thinks you're worth the risk, and definitely worth the reward of knowing you. So that's one of the craziest stories in the Bible, and I think has real significance because there's stuff that you've got to do, stuff that God has placed within you to perform. So do it, and do it boldly, do it courageously, and trust that God's going to take care of you and of it, even if all the monsters come running. Monsters like, deadlifts. So, back to you, Coach. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. All right, so today this workout is probably